Jeff Mason is White House correspondent for Reuters. And let me play for you that soundbite that Peter just referred to, because to me, this was the biggest news of that gaggle that went on and on outside that event. Listen to this.
Even if I knew for certain that I was going to run for president back in Thanksgiving, my intention from the beginning, if I were to run, would be the last person to announce. So if everybody else their day, then I get a shot, and then we're off to the races.
Let me paraphrase some of the other things that he said, Jeff. They said, why haven't you announced yet? And he said, well, I'm putting everything together. It wasn't a no, I haven't decided. He said, quote, I'm putting everything together. And then he said, I have to be very careful what I say. The lawyers have told me, because the clock starts ticking. And that's a reference to, rules on fundraising and what you can do and you can't once you have it, and how you have to file once you've said you are going to run. So, I mean, Jeff, I guess my first question for you would be, is there any doubt in your mind now that Joe Biden's running for president?
Zero.
Zero. Yeah.
I don't think you can make it any clearer than he did just a few moments ago that he's running. And I thought it was interesting as well that he said that even if I've known since Thanksgiving, I mean, that indicates to me that he's known for some time, when, there's been some question if he was going back and forth about whether he wanted to go through with the race and the implications that running for president would have on his family. But he's indicating there that A, number one, he's decided, and B, he's actually decided quite some time ago.
Did, those who were trying to maybe take him down, if it was a political campaign here with all of this stuff that's come forward here, with all of these different, quote unquote accusers saying that he made them feel uncomfortable, he was inappropriate, that sort of thing. Did they almost do him a favor? Did he get it out of the way before he makes the announcement? What do you think?
I think it's too early to say that. I mean, the fact that he is suggesting or shows that he knows that there might be more women coming forward who will complain or will say that they didn't feel comfortable with the way in which he interacted with them suggests that this is a storyline or an issue that is going to continue, perhaps into the early days of his campaign once he does announce that he's running. That said, he's in some ways perhaps getting it out of the way, and just in the sense that he has started to address it. And it won't be something that's lurking and coming later.
Yeah, let me play that soundbite for our audience, the one that Jeff Mason was just referring to there, so you can hear for yourself. Go ahead.
You expect a lot more people. Well, I wouldn't be surprised, but I've had hundreds and hundreds of people contact me and who I don't know, and, say the exact opposite.
Yeah, and Jeff, he went on to say that he's sorry for, well, I don't have the quote right in front of me. He's basically not sorry for his intentions. He's sorry for how people felt, but I'm paraphrasing. But he's not sorry for the intentions behind it.
Not knowing.
Not knowing.
Is
yes,
what he
thank
said.
you.
Yeah.
So how do you think, is that a good way to deal with it now? Is he doing better with this? I mean, this is like the third try at it.
Yeah, it's been multiple tries. I'm not in a position to be the one to say if he's doing better with it or not. I think it is significant, though, that he and clearly his advisors have determined that the statements and the various tries that he has used so far were not sufficient. I think also the fact that he was asked about it in this first appearance suggests that it's something that reporters like myself and others who will be covering him if he does run for president are going to keep asking.
Yeah.
But which means it's going to be an issue that he and the others in the campaign will have to deal with.
Jeff, I mean, that gaggle and the way he walked the line of reporters, and he was so at ease, and he took questions on everything, and he went back and forth, it was very Trumpian. I mean, it reminded me of how President Trump comes out. It feels like he's going to the edge of his driveway there, and he kind of talks to all of you guys lined up, and he fields all these questions. And, he looked comfortable, obviously. What was your take on that and how it matches up and is similar in some ways to what President Trump does?
Well, the fact that you think it's Trumpian, it's probably because you see it so often with President Trump. But if you've covered politicians like this, and Vice President Biden was here, obviously, for 8 years in his role as vice president. This is something that they do. President Trump has made it an art form, particularly because he comes out in front of his helicopter so often and does that. But gaggles, which is what we call it, we used to call them press avails.
Yeah.
Those are things that candidates do, and clearly Vice President Biden has been doing this his whole life. So, of course, he's comfortable, and he's certainly comfortable with the subject matters, with policy. He governed as a vice president for 8 years, and before that was in the Senate for decades. So it will not be tricky for him to jump into the fray in terms of policy and talking to reporters.
I guess, and I guess maybe my point is that he looked like he was loving it as much as the president does, and many other candidates do not. And politicians, they look like they're in pain. They're kind of limited at don't ask me this. And he had that same look about him that the president has, ask what you want. I'm here. I'm loving this, so it's just interesting. I
think you're right. I think you're spot on about that. And he's good at taking questions like that. He likes interacting with people, whether it's journalists, whether it's others.
Yeah. Jeff Mason, always terrific. Thank you for your insight today. We appreciate it.